What's going on, guys? ChillisFM here, taking a look at my first Ultra League battles of the season. If you've been around the channel for a while, you know Ultra League is my all-time favorite league. And this season, we started it off with a bang, going 14-1 in my first 3 sets. It was actually 10-0 in the first 2. We lost the 11th battle and went 4-0 after that. And it was with Shadow GLISCOR with the Sand Attack buff. Previously with Wing Attack, I didn't care for Shadow GLISCOR in the Ultra League, but Sand Attack has definitely turned that around. It's a monster now, and I'm not the only one that believes so. I know HomeSliceHenry has already put out a 10-0 video with Shadow GLISCOR as well. This thing puts in work. It is worth the build 100%. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the team. I am using Shadow Drapion as my save swap, one of the best save swaps in the Ultra League. Only gets punished really by Cobalion, Poison Sting, and Sludge Bomb. Those are key. Those are key in Crunch, of course. You'll see some Ice Fangs from different creators, maybe even here at some point, but on the save swap, you want Poison Sting, and I am a big believer that Sludge Bomb is better than Aqua Tail on the save swap. As my closer, I am using Cobalion. Cobalion has a unique typing. It's a fighter that does really well against the Flyers. It put in a ton of work on this team. And so I absolutely think it's a great closer for this team. Pairs really well with GLISCOR as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into some of these battles. Leave a like, leave a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. There will definitely be more Ultra League content coming. All right, first battle, we are up against a Shadow Weezing, Shadow Galarian Weezing, a very cool pick, not one that everybody has, but this trainer has put in the work to grind and get a good IV one for the Ultra League and built it already. So very cool. They say swap out into a Malamar. Now I do make a bit of a misplay here. My plan was to let them superpower once, and then I could CMP with the Sludge Bomb to hopefully KO them, but we end up losing that CMP. So something that I learned today, Shadow Drapion loses the CMP, or Drapion in general loses CMP to Malamar in the Ultra League. That's fine, we do still get the Poison Sting down. I was able to undercharge just a little bit there and leave with a Sludge Bomb ready to go for this Weezing to pull their first shield. I'm going to come in now with GLISCOR. I have the Earthquake, so I do immediately go for the Aerial Ace bait, and my opponent actually calls it. Now this can only be a brutal swing that they're throwing here, but it seems like they're desperate to get damage off on my GLISCOR, so I do go ahead and throw up a shield. Boy was I wrong. Boy was I wrong. They have a Feraligatr in the back, so I'm going to again build up to the Earthquake and go for the Aerial Ace. We do grab the shield. I'm able to bank another Aerial Ace. And notice what I did right there. I did 3 Sand Attacks to their 2 Shadow Claws. Shadow Claws is a 2-turn move, so that's 4 turns total that they used. And I did 3 Sand Attacks. That allowed me to swap, and on my 4th turn, Cobalion got a whole double kick through. And that's a 3-turn move. So we basically got 3 free turns of energy there, which allow us to outpace before that Feraligatr can have energy to handle both my Cobalion and my GLISCOR, and that's going to get us the win. So that's a GG's well played to my opponent. All right, into the next one. You're going to see another example of that in this battle. We have a Pidgeot lead, very bad lead for my GLISCOR, and they're answering my Drapion with a Cobalion, which we already talked about. It's one of the hardest answers for Cobalion, especially when you don't have Aqua Tail. Now, here's what's crazy. You can still pull a shield if they get greedy. Now, notice what I'm doing here. I'm making sure that I'm throwing on good timing, which does a few things. It's going to allow me to maximize my energy, maximize my damage, and potentially confuse my opponent on counts. I never threw a crunch immediately as I got it. So my opponent has lost track of count, and now I make it to this crunch, and I'm going to be able to pull a shield in a matchup that should be just horrible for my Shadow Drapion. Now I come in with my Shadow GLISCOR. I know Stone Edge is 55 energy, so they're going to be 1 double kick away. So I'm going to do 2 Sand Attacks and then swap out into my Cobalion. Again, we're going to be able to sneak an entire double kick because if I swapped 1 turn before their move was finished, we're able to sneak that entire double kick. Again, 3 free turns of energy, which is absolutely massive. Now, a bit of a misplay here. I definitely should have got this Stone Edge off before the Feather Dance. I was really focused on getting good timing here. And now you can see Sacred Sword's just not going to be enough to KO. And I'm going to be forced to go for a second Stone Edge. We'll see if my opponent wants to throw up their final shield here. They decide not to, and in the back is going to be a Feraligatr. So this is a little bit awkward. I do have to swap out of my Cobalion to clear that debuff, and I am going to be coming in with my GLISCOR and outpacing to this Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace does grab a shield, which is great for me. And now I'm going to go ahead and just let GLISCOR go. It's done its job. I know my Cobalion's not going to get Shadow Claw down by a non-Shadow Feraligatr. So now it's just going to be a race. Can I make it to enough charge attacks to take out this Feraligatr before they make it to 3 Hydro Cannons to take out my Cobalion? Pidgeot just about out of HP, right? It's in deep into the red. Probably one more double kick even takes it out. So I'm going to go ahead and shield up the second Hydro Cannon here. And then I'm just going to make sure that I'm throwing at good timing to prevent the catch. And even if they did catch, I'd only be one double kick away from the next Sacred Sword. You can see it actually doesn't quite KO. But when they try to catch there, they give us enough energy for Sacred Sword. They weren't at the Hydro regardless. So that's going to be GG's. Well played to my opponent. Let's go. Let's go. All right, into the next one. Shadow GLISCOR up against a Steelix. This is a lead that I love to see because we have both Shadow GLISCOR and Cobalion that are very hard answers for the Steelix. Now they're going to be coming out with a Drifblim safe swap, which, what do you know? We got a great punish for it with our Shadow Drapion. So since we have 2 hard answers for their lead, I have no need to fight for switch here. We are a little bit core broke by this Drapion, but as long as I can get it low, I can handle it with my GLISCOR, or even Cobalion can Stone Edge it in game if I really need to. So we do get it close to being in the red. I'm going to go ahead and let this next Icy Wind come through, knowing that my Drapion will survive it, and we'll even get this next crunch off. So now my opponent's forced to go down 2 shields if they want to fight for switch here, which means my GLISCOR can easily just come and clean up this Drifblim. Instead, my opponent does let their Drifblim go, and they're going to come back in with their Steelix. Steelix running Thunderfang. We're resisting all of these Thunderfangs, single resisting, right? The ground type double resist, the flying type takes super effective. So at the end of the day, it's a single resisted move. They do go for the Psychic Fangs to drop my defense, but I'm going to be just full sending the Earthquake, looking to grab their final shield or take out this Steelix. They do invest their final shield, so at this point I am happy to just go ahead and eat this Psychic Fangs, swap out to clear that debuff, and see what Cobalion can do up 2 shields. It's going to be a shiny Shadow Weezing in the back. How cool is that? Like, that's very rare to see in the Ultra League. But it's not a problem for Cobalion when we're up 2 shields. This is one of the few fighters that just does really good. Like, we're taking no damage from these Fairy Winds, and my opponent knows it's over. So that's going to be GG's. Well played to my opponent. All right, into the next one, up against a very good battler, leading Virizion. So this is a lead that on paper seems really good for GLISCOR since we have a double super effective move with Aerial Ace. But Virizion is very bulky, so even though it's double super effective, Aerial Ace is just not going to hit hard enough to one-shot, and the sand attacks are going to be resisted. So I believe in the 1s and the 2s, Shadow GLISCOR does win that matchup, but in the 0s, it might go to the Virizion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to catch the next Leaf Blade. We do successfully catch it, and we lure out a Shadow Feraligatr. Going to go ahead and get this Crunch off. Crunch is going to get the debuff and the shield. That is beautiful. Our opponent plays this perfectly. They go for the CMP tie. I'm thinking this Hydro Cannon would be enough to take out from this range. So I decided to go ahead and invest a shield. Why? Because I'm reading that they're weak to my Drapion in the back, right? Because of we saw the grass type, and then we saw this, which were resisting the fast move. So it seems like they're weak. I decided to invest both shields, and in the back, it's actually going to be a Shadow Zapdos, the last thing that was on my radar. We're going to go ahead and get this Crunch Up to pull the shield. I'm coming in with my Cobalion, and I am just praying that I can outpace through this Stone Edge before this Zapdos takes out my Cobalion, because if Cobalion's gone, GLISCOR cannot handle this Zapdos. So we're going to go ahead and get to the Stone Edge, and I am just like, if this is Thunderbolt, it's GG's. If it's Drill Peck and it KOs, it's GG's. But it's Drill Peck and we survive, which means we are in a good spot again. Going to get this Stone Edge off, take out this Zapdos. All they have left is a pretty low health Virizion, which I can come in and I can Aerial Ace, making sure that they do not catch on the Feraligatr. Aerial Ace takes out the Virizion, and all that's left is some remnants of a Feraligatr, which we Sand Attack down. And that's going to be GG's. Well played. Into the next one, up against a Shadow Drapion lead. Now, most Drapions in the lead are going to be running Aqua Tail, but since my opponent swaps out, I'm thinking maybe they're not. So I decided to do the same move, right? I get a free double kick through here, we catch. But in hindsight, this was just silly. This was just silly because if one Sacred Sword's not taking out this Feraligatr, I could have came in with Drapion and been resisting these Shadow Claws. Instead, I'm still going to get two-shot by this Feraligatr. And even with the double kicks, another Sacred Sword's not taking this Gator out. So I put myself in an awkward position where they might have their Drapion on my Drapion. And if theirs is running Aqua Tail, that is not a good thing for me. My opponent does let the second Sacred Sword go through, and I decide I just can't go down 2 shields, because if their Drapion has Aqua Tail, then, well, my GLISCOR even needs shields. So I decide to go ahead, let it go. In the back is going to be a Talonflame, and boy am I thankful to have a shield, and I am just praying that they don't have Aqua Tail on their Drapion, so we are going to be able to get 2 Aerial Aces off. The second Aerial Ace would put them into the red, so I am just hoping that they pull up their shield here, and that my Drapion can somehow clean up this in-game. Still, if their Drapion has Aqua Tail, I can't shield the potential Brave Bird here, so I do go ahead and let this go. It's going to be a fly, and I am going to be able to throw this Crunch into their Drapion. Crunch, of course, resisted damage. What I'm looking to do is Sand Attack down their Drapion at some point and leave with energy for that Talonflame, since the Talonflame didn't leave with much residual. They still need 2 Incinerates to get to their next fly. So I'm thinking that I still have play. My opponent does indeed have Aqua Tail. We get the defense drop, and I'm like, yes, that's what I need. Now I think I can Sand Attack down, leave with the energy to take out the Talonflame. There's the Aqua Tail number 1, and with 1 HP, they get the next Aqua Tail off. And it's just going to put me so low that 1 Incinerate's going to take out. I go for the harder hitting Earthquake, hoping that it's enough to take out the Talonflame, but it's just not going to do it. And that's going to be GG's. Well played to my opponent. So there's the 1 loss that I did end up taking. Well played to my opponent. Again, I really should have gone in Drapion. We still would have had to deal with the Talonflame, but Cobalion's not that bad into Talonflame since it does have Stone Edge. We might have to play a bait game, but it would have been a little bit more winnable at least. All right, into the next one. Tentacruel lead. They safe swap out into Giratina. We have a good answer for Giratina since this one is running Shadow Claw. I'm going to be spamming off the crunches as we get them. We get the defense drop. Doesn't really matter. It's never going to be in Poison Sting downrange. We're going to be able to tank 3 Dragon Claws. The 4th would take out. So that puts my Drapion still in a good spot. It looks like this was CMP. We'll see if my opponent does want to invest the shield, and they decide to let it go. Now they bring back out the Tentacruel, which is very interesting because this Tentacruel is not going to be able to Poison Jab down before I make 2 crunches. So they're going to be forced to either invest a shield or throw a Scald or just be very low health, right? They'd be in the red if they eat this second crunch. So second crunch coming through, and my opponent does invest the shield. We get the defense drop, which is nice. I'm thinking that will probably put them into Stone Edge range. I come in with my Cobalion now, because I don't want to take these Scalds on my GLISCOR. Unfortunately, they get the attack drop. So now I'm like, well, this Stone Edge is definitely not taking out. I'm going to go ahead and let them throw the next Scald, but my opponent's done a really good job at over farming every single time. So now when I bring back in my GLISCOR, I get this Aerial Ace off to put them deep into the red, but they have the other Scald ready to go. If they were even 1 more Poison Jab away, they probably don't get that Scald off, but they played that perfectly. In the back, going to be a Zygarde. Now I know that my GLISCOR can definitely tank 1 crunch, and there's a small chance that they're running Bulldoze, so I go ahead and no shield, and it is going to be the crunch. So I'm going to go ahead and bait with the Aerial Ace. Why? Because I need to guarantee I get some damage off. If they no shield there, that's perfectly fine. I'll just throw my next Aerial Ace to either get even more chip damage or to grab their shield. They showed up the Aerial Ace, which is beautiful for me because now I land the Earthquake. I come in, I'm going to be able to connect with this Sacred Sword, shield up the crunch, and now all I have to do is build up to the back-to-back Sacred Swords. I can have 1 ready to go for this Tentacruel. Tentacruel was never making another move. I could have double kicked it down, but just to be safe, we throw the Sacred Sword into the Tentacruel and another Sacred Sword into the Zygarde, and that's going to be a GG's. Well played to my opponent. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, into the next battle. Shadow GLISCOR up against a shiny Guzzlord lead. I think Guzzlord's a good pick for the Ultra League right now. I do. There is definitely quite a few fairies running around, but everything that's not a fairy, Guzzlord does pretty well into. There's not a ton of steel types out there right now. They're running Brutal Swing, which gives me the confidence to go ahead and bait with this Earthquake, or with this Aerial Ace. And then I'm going to try to catch the next Brutal Swing. I didn't really care. I didn't really care if they shield that or no shield. I just wanted to make sure that I still had energy on my GLISCOR. And then I wanted to catch on my Drapion. Why? Because in-game, I want that Guzzlord on my Cobalion. It's a hard wall for it, right? Even if they're running Gunk Shot, Dragon Claw, Brutal Swing, Crunch, doesn't matter. Everything's resisted by my Cobalion. So we do lure out the Feraligatr now. We pull a shield with the first Crunch, and I'm confident that I survived the Hydro Cannon. So we survived the Hydro Cannon. We make it to the Sludge Bomb, and we pull the second shield. Now this Feraligatr is absolutely loaded on energy. I can't come in with my GLISCOR. Aerial Ace would not be enough to take out. And so I decide I'm going to go ahead and come in with my Cobalion. And I'm going to just invest both shields. I'm forced to invest both shields because of their hard farm down. And in the back is going to be a Cresselia. So not really something that a fighter wants to see, but this banked energy on GLISCOR going to come in clutch now. Going to be able to connect with this Earthquake before they make it to their Grass Knot. And they are still forced to throw their Grass Knot. Otherwise, I'm going to make it to even more charge attacks. So now I'm just going to focus on throwing at good timing, getting these Stone Edges off. You can see 2 Stone Edges will be enough to take out Cresselia from this range. But I gotta remember, they also have a Feraligatr that does have some good health remaining. I'm gonna need another Stone Edge for the Feraligatr as well. So I am planning on overfarming. They swap out into the Feraligatr, so I am just going to quickly eliminate the Feraligatr with the Stone Edge. And now the game is just over because all they have is the Guzzlord and this Cresselia. 1 Stone Edge going to be taking out the Cresselia. My Cobalion is poised to sweep right here. We just need 3 more double kicks to make it to this Sacred Sword. Even if they made it to a Brutal Swing, which they were drying on energy, it would not be enough to take out my Cobalion. So Cobalion putting in a ton of work right here and going to be able to pull off the sweep. And that's going to be GG's. Well played to my opponent. Alright, so that's going to be the final battle of today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like and a comment down below for the algorithm. I really do appreciate all the support that y'all give me. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to my channel members for your support. And until next time, this is ChillisFM reminding you to always keep pushing forward.